What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and break down a very big opportunity I'm seeing in Tesla right now. From a technical standpoint, Tesla's looking quite nice, but I'm going to break down why it's very likely Tesla will continue to pump going into the upcoming week and why I do believe it's going to break past 170. Before I break anything down about this, before I talk about the technicals and the charts and the news that came out, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. The offer ends in just 2 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So when it comes to Tesla, we actually saw a really big sell-off after earnings came out. Now, when earnings came out for Tesla, it wasn't really that horrible overall. I wouldn't necessarily use the word horrible because they did actually meet EPS expectations and actually beat on some or most revenue expectations. However, their net income was pretty horrible in a way. Their margins are just not that great, but their energy storage revenue did go up over 148%. So some things really good, other things okay, other things were pretty bad. Margins, for instance, were not good either. Very mixed, but for the most part, more bad for Tesla. And we saw this giant drop. It dropped 10% in one day. And that was not really justified, in my opinion. I don't think what Tesla reported was so horrible that the share price had to just collapse to such a crazy degree. It's more of an exaggerated move, and lots of capitulation happened because this stock is just so viral and it just makes crazy moves. But, anyways, when it comes to the news that came out, if you actually listen during earnings, Elon Musk and the other guy named Zach who were there were basically giving us lots of information about what was going on with Tesla. And they were mentioning that for the long term, we're in great hands. The company is going to be fine. Dojo is doing fine. FSD is going to be very successful. And Elon Musk is basically telling us Tesla is going to be a cash cow. It's going to be insanely incredible for the longer term. For the short term, there will be some struggles though because of the Fed raising rates. They basically said that, and the market just did not respond positively to it. Now, as the market was dropping, right, when this happened, I warned you guys that there would likely be some downside for Tesla. My targets were either 160 or 158, and we'd likely see the bottom right there. And then I told you guys that around this area, this was the next day after earnings. This was on, I think, Thursday after the market closed. That's when Tesla basically crashed. I told you guys then we're probably going to see a nice bounce. And that's because we had some bullish signals, a lot of bullish signals developing. And I said something is going to come that's going to help this thing start to bounce. And lo and behold, Tesla held 160. It actually pushed up over 1.28%, closing at 165. So it started to bounce a bit. It might, and I do believe it's very likely it's going to continue and try to push up a little bit more next week. Why is Tesla bouncing? First off, technicals are playing a big role in it. Also, Cathie Wood came out and gave some very bullish news. She said that the robo-taxi boom that's coming is going to boost Tesla's stock to $2,000 within 5 years. She also bought into Tesla more. And on top of that, Tesla announced that they're going to be raising prices. So I think the market's pretty incredible. It's very interesting how the charts were starting to look bullish on Tesla, right? Very bullish. And then all of a sudden we get all this bullish news from Cathie Wood and, there are new models and them actually increasing prices and just things like that. It's pretty interesting stuff. I also believe it's no coincidence. But anyways, what does this mean for the share price going forward? One thing you have to remember is the fact that Tesla is impacted by the QQQ and the overall market, but at the same time, Tesla could also dictate how the market moves to some degree. Tesla helped the QQQ close green, but it's actually looking relatively weak. So I don't expect Tesla to just like rip to the absolute moon. I don't think Tesla's going to fly all the way back up to 200, at least for the short term. but I do think Tesla has more potential to try to continue pushing. Now, looking at the charts, on the 1 hour time frame, if you exclude extended hours, you will notice that we actually have a crossover on the PPO, which is a little bit more delayed. But this is once again a bullish signal. When this happens, we tend to see Tesla push up, such as like right here, Tesla pushed up during many other instances. Additionally, the RSI was still crazy oversold. It still is close to oversold territory. And then when you look at, hold on, the extended hours, Tesla is also, it already got the crossover on the PPO. The MACD looked bullish, and I think we also formed a bullish divergence on during the after hours, and also during the pre-market. Because when you look at the charts, Tesla was downtrending, right? It's just dropping, dropping, dropping. The EMAs were spreading like this, right? But it was dropping into extremely oversold territory. I mean, the RSI only hit like 15, even 11 on different charts. Pretty crazy stuff. It was so oversold. That is not healthy, not natural. It's just an absolute overreaction. And then the RSI started uptrending, right? The RSI starts uptrending while the price is just dropping like this. So this is forming a big divergence. And as a result, Tesla got a bounce after that. It's been uptrending since. And then on top of that, we formed another divergence because we formed a lower low on Tesla. Tesla was in this area, it came down a little lower. When we opened, we actually sold off on Tesla, but the RSI continued to climb and climb and climb. And then Tesla got another bounce and we rallied to 166. Then we closed around 165. What does this tell me for the future? Well, look at the 4 hour time frame. When we're on the 4 hour chart, I'm going to do this, and I'm also going to hide some of these drawings. I know it becomes very messy because I have so many trend lines and etc. But check this out. When we get these crossovers on the PPO, we don't really need the most complicated, fancy technical indicators. We could just use a simple MACD and RSI. Some of the best traders on the planet that I actually have known just use an MACD and an RSI. They don't use all these crazy fancy indicators. They keep it simple. And just look at the price, okay? We were downtrending when you look at the MACD. The RSI bounces, we get a crossover. We start this uptrend on the 4 hour time frame. It just continues, continues, continues. Then all of a sudden we get the crossover. It starts downtrending. After the 200 hit, we came all the way down to the 185 area. Crossover. We push all the way up to 208, right? Continuing to pump. This was right before deliveries came out. Deliveries comes out, the day deliveries comes out, we get a crossover. Boom, and the MACD just looks very bearish. Our momentum indicators look bearish. RSI looked bearish. Tesla came tumbling down. We got a crossover, but it basically crossed back and forth and back and forth as Tesla was just chopping for a couple of days. And this lasted for another week of just chop and chop and chop. And finally, I think this was right before Tesla actually announced their earnings. I think it was like right before we got a crossover on the PPO right here. Then we started to see the share price tank. And I think earnings day was like right here. So this is like on the day of earnings. So right before earnings this happened, earnings comes, the MACD gets wide open and we get some very bearish looking signals. And what happens? Share price is just tanking and tanking, but it tanks so hard to the point where it's oversold. We get the bullish signals on the smaller time frames. Tesla starts to bounce. We actually formed an inverse head and shoulders right here. So another bullish signal. And then it starts climbing and climbing. And the bearish momentum is now slowing down. So now what's happening? We're about to get a crossover. We're very close to it. So it's very likely Tesla's going to push up more as we approach the upcoming trading days. My only difficulty in trying to project Tesla would be the fact that earnings are coming out this week, and earnings tend to be very difficult to predict. But from a technical standpoint, Tesla looks quite bullish. It looks like it's going to continue to pump. And my target is a test of 170. Very soon, I think it's going to hit 170. I know I'm trying to keep my targets very conservative right now because Once again, I'm not as certain about what earnings are going to bring, but I'm pretty confident it's going to actually hit 170, at least 170, maybe even higher than that, 175 or so. But 170 should come on Tesla very soon. Momentum indicators are looking bullish. The news from Cathie Wood was bullish. Cathie Wood, loading up, buying the dip, that's bullish. Tesla raising prices is bullish. And we'll see what comes out over the weekend. But for now, even if we do like kind of cool off a little bit, gap down, and then kind of chop around a little bit, I still think we're eventually going to see more upwards momentum as we get these bullish signals and they perpetuate. I think Tesla is going to retest 168 very soon. I haven't been able to see the short interest. I don't really have it like updated, but if there's a lot of shorting that happened like on these days, a lot of these shorts could end up getting squeezed and this thing could start to just push up more. I believe it's going to hit 170, so it's going to make an attempt to fill this gap. I don't know if we're going to fully do that. It depends on so many factors, but I think I was looking at this on a different chart and I saw the 50 EMA was actually a little lower. We could retest on a different time frame, so 168 to 170 should come. If it breaks down, 175 should come for Tesla. But for now, I'm not too focused on 175. Let's break 170 first. And I do believe that's going to be tested next week. It looks more bullish overall. And I do believe it was oversold to oblivion and it's due for a bit of a bounce. And I do believe it's going to happen. This is a big opportunity for people that know how to scalp and want to day trade Tesla. I loaded up on calls between 163 and 160. I dollar cost averaged down as I saw it drop and drop because the technicals were yelling, it's going to bounce, it's going to bounce. So I just kept buying and buying and buying. And then today, I rode this thing up and I actually exited my positions because I didn't really want to hold over the weekend. But the bottom line is the same thing could actually happen going into next week. There will be more opportunities on this stock. I do believe it's going to actually help the markets out next week. All right, guys, so thank you all for listening. I just wanted to call out to this opportunity for you. I believe it's going to hit 170 at least, and there could be a lot of money made on Tesla if you learn how to play it right. All right, thank you. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. I'll most definitely see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still very bright. Same thing with the overall market, and peace out.